And hello, everybody. Marco here. Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Help Method Sausage, whatever I'm calling it. Now, and here for a lesson today, 29-page lesson here. So if we spend a minute on each, I guess page we'll call them, then slide, whatever, then it's going to take at least a half hour. And we know I'm going to spend more time than that. So I guess we'll dive right into it. What is this lesson about? It's about going up the neck using two strings in a major scale pattern, or a kind of a neat pattern that just jumped out at me, but I'm going to tell you in a second actually where it came from. I have to give a shout out to another YouTuber. And yeah, well, let me get right into that. The Art of Guitar. That is the name of the channel that I got this lesson from. Great teacher. Forgive me, bud, I don't know your name, but I'm taken aback by your style of lessons and the content on your channel. Totally outstanding. Great job, dude. And when you showed this the other day, I was pissed because I'm like, oh my God, all this graph paper method, and that never jumped out at me. Or what I'm going to show you here today never jumped out at me. So here it is. I've got to get a screen adjusted here so I can see myself, and that would be by clicking always on top here. Okay, sorry everybody. So Art of Guitar provided this lesson today, so check out his channel. Definitely subscribe. There is another YouTuber also that in the next lesson I'm going to tell you about. Totally outstanding channel. Probably in my top three favorite YouTube guitar teachers, and I just found out about this guy, and it's totally awesome. So we'll announce him next lesson. So let's check out this thing here. So to start with, here we are on sheet one, and you see some gray squares filled in here. Well, those are the notes we're going to hit. And what I have here is one, where the cursor is. Actually, my cursor's got to be, I got to do this. All right, so you guys see a cursor? Yes, you do. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. Well, there's 5 shapes on the board here, but these 4 shapes in gray are the runners, the where we're going to be working. And you can use this yellow pattern too, but I tend to use that as like the switch on a train track to get a train to a new track. It's not as geometric as the other patterns, but these patterns all exist on your fretboard, and they make it super easy to travel across the fretboard in a linear fashion. Linear meaning just simply perfectly straight up the fretboard using 2 strings, not just one. And if you're wondering about going across in other ways, well, there's more than one way to go. But how about just diagonally? And we've covered that a million times on this channel. So if you're new here today, just go back and check out some other lessons. And yeah, so these patterns, 4 patterns, let's check them out. To start with, we have this pattern right here. When basically, when these lay out on the fretboard, they are as they look. We're gonna stretch out across 5 frets here, so it's 1, 3, 5, just to start with. And I'm gonna see the next slide here to roll. Let's put that on a fretboard so we have some more to go. So here in this diagram, I've laid all of these patterns out on the fretboard and highlighted this very first group that we're going to kind of conceptualize here. So if we were to play this as shown, we are starting here on the 5th fret, and you can see here in gray, hopefully you can recognize that is the yellow shape right there. And it'll so probably come up later. I think I elucidated this later, that notice that this one important takeaway here is that this shape is borrowing or using or part of this shape here. So the great thing about that is that when you're conceptualizing these shapes, you never have to think about a new place on the fretboard to where you're going to go next. You're always already in that next shape. So as long as you can see where your finger is on the fret, if you were going backwards, if you saw, your first two fingers on the 5th fret here, you would know that this shape is right there. So you would be playing sticky pick. All right. Well, actually, here I am on the D and G string. Let me get that right. Pretty cool, right? Now, yeah, this is the major scale. As far as the root, well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, but let's just concentrate on these shapes. Because I was thinking, well, what's the tonality of that? Because that sounded pretty noodly, a little bit aimless there. It didn't really have a standard, but in this case, we'll say that this would be the key of. That's always going to be our root note in this shape right here in this square where the plus sign is. So in this particular instance, we're there on the what's that, C? Well, that makes sense, right? That I would choose the key of C. And I prepared this a week ago, and today I thought of a whole new lesson that I wanted to give. So I'm like a week behind on lessons. So forgive me if I got to think about where my mind was last week when I prepared this lesson and wasn't able to present it. So here we go. Let's go on to the next shape because we don't got too much time to belabor these. And I'm going to hope that you guys get that. The next one is here. Now, you notice that I've got a lighter shade of green. God, my mind. I was going to start singing a whiter shade of pale because my mind does that. Sorry. A wider shade of pale. All right. Sorry. And so we go to this next. Old people will know that. You young guys probably won't even know what the hell that is, a whiter shade of pale. But hopefully you do. Procol Harum, but you're into classic guitar, you probably know. Okay. So this is the old shape we just were, and these are light green now to show you where we still are with this new shape and where we are also stepping into with the next shape that we're going to get into. So basically, I don't have to think about going to the next shape because as long as I know that, well, sorry, back to the D and G string here. Using my middle and pinky because my index would be reserved for the first note here that that we left behind with that last shape. So now we're here. I would move my index up actually to be where the plus sign is and be playing here. And you've approached the square, the magic square that you should know about from my other lessons. This is the ultimate navigation tool that gets you all across the fretboard. When I see this square, I know that I'm here. Well, I know that I've approached with the scale shape pattern that is called a Dorian. So we go. And moving on from there, let's go to the next shape. And there we have it, just like as expected. We have the, we're still in our square. We're just moving to the other side of it. And it's just this geometric to continue up the fretboard. So we'd have, we had starting on the 5th fret, And what's that, G? So it's kind of giving this a Mixolydian vibe, since G is the fifth tone of the C major scale, and the mode would be derived from playing really a bass note, a bass drone, maybe a G pedal tone higher up, or a G chord would really elucidate the sound. But we're sort of elucidating that since we're starting on a G note here. So there's me just noodling through those shapes. And as expected, the next one is a mirror image of the first shape. And that's what makes this pattern so great. Sorry, I went backwards there. This next shape is the front version. It's not the same exact shape. I know there's octave patterns that repeat, but this is not the same shape as the first one. For example, this would be G, A, B, C, D, E. And this one, if we go up, it's A, B, C, D, E, F. You should always know that this shape right here, that's your A, B, C, D, E, F, G shape. This is always, across your fretboard, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Or just A, B, C, D, E, F. No G, not yet. So here we have B, C, D, E, F, G. And here we're starting once again on C. C, D, E, F, G, A. So we sort of end on A minor. All right. So after we get there, we've completed this 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. That gets us all the way a cool geometric way to super easily go right up the strings. With a bad cable and everything, so. And a little sloppy legato. All right, so there, now you can see the same thing as I talked about in the beginning, where the edge of this shape was within these two notes here of our, what I'm going to call the Aeolian shape, and there's a reason for that. Now, hopefully you recognize this as the bottom of your, if you've played the natural minor shape, or what you may have been taught is the Aeolian scale. They work one and the same. Argue with me if you think that's something arguable, but I don't. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If you've played that scale, this part that works, that's this bottom of this, the guts of this pentatonic box, are the very bottom of this pentatonic scale, or this Aeolian shape. Same, the pentatonic is housed around this Aeolian shape. So anyways, that's why I call that Aeolian. You can find that all over the fretboard though, because these shapes repeat everywhere. So what's here is and anytime, here's, well, we're going to get to that. So this is what I was talking about. Once again, I showed you how on the edge of this shape and the edge of this shape are the same edges of this, what we just called the Aeolian shape. Moving on to sheet 7. This sheet, I'm trying to tell you that when you're at this Aeolian shape, you are contacting this shape and this shape. Where the blue is, you are, so you can see kind of the shape here. And that tells me where the next boxes are. It tells me that I have a box here. So if I played this, well, where are we? Where our shape is here. We have a box. And if I have that box here, I have all those shapes connected to my fingers. So I can go down. I can go find that Aeolian shape again, find that big shape there. And I'm an octave down from where I just was. So moving back up an octave. That's the Aeolian shape that's kind of get through. And there's the box again, an octave up. So when I got a box on this string pair, I'm on the A and D strings where I started here. That's why I called that shape like where a train track splits off to a new track. This one can help you easily switch off to a different pair of strings. This gets me to the A and D pair, but I don't have to be stuck in that place. As soon as I see that box shape there, because I practice this so much, because it's so musical and so easy to be musical with it, and play the backing tracks on YouTube and stuff, modal backing tracks, that I know this right off the, it's just the easiest thing to know that that's the what I know as the Phrygian guitar shape. Well, we'll start here on E in the key of C. E is Phrygian, and that's where we've landed here. Pentatonic. A chromatic there. Root E. I keep on hearing the beginning of Momentary Lapse of Reason, the part before Learning to Fly, the very beginning of the cassette tape. See how old I am? I said cassette tape. So anyways, that's not in the key we're in, so Phrygian is its own mostly unused key. Why is Phrygian mostly unused? Well, I think because for its edgy, kind of Latin, most rock isn't pushing that direction, except for Santana, perhaps, and a few others. But if you really want that Eastern sound, you can actually take your Phrygian scale and push it into, even though you're pushing the natural minor scale into harmonic minor, that's where I think all that sound is at. So it would be. That sound. But anyways, I digress. We're not here to talk about that, but this, since there's only a one note change to harmonic minor, this method can help you. Harmonic minor will work very similarly to this up and down the fretboard. Okay, so that being said, though, we're not talking about harmonic minor. We're talking about this scale shape here. So I know that we're in Phrygian. Let's talk about moving up the other way here. So this, like, say this purple way here, I would have, with these two notes here, I would have these two notes of this shape. However, this is why this never jumped out at you. As I always say, this every time we encounter that GB string shift anomaly on the fretboard, we have that shift where the B string is always up that way. So one by 1 fret. So as you can see here, our box is there, but it's busted and split and the geometry looks wonky. So we have this right here. No, that's not what we have right there because I'm screwing it up. Let me try that again because I'm on the wrong string pair. I mean, that would be right in, well, it wouldn't be right. Never mind. That's why it didn't sound right. Here we go again. Awesome. Lessons. This guitar guy doesn't edit his videos. He just makes them in one shot and leaves the mistakes in there, but that's how I am. So anyways, there we are at the bottom there. Those 3 yellow notes were played. Now I'm going to play my shape, but I'm going to move it up a fret. And I know when I'm there, when I got my broken box right there, I am stepping into the Aeolian shape. That this note right here could be yellow because that shape is right here. This fret, this fret, this fret, and this fret, or this box, this box, this box are all the next notes that you could play. Oops. C major, A minor, all using that shape, but I started on C for the first one and ended with a I want to use my favorite word again there, elucidating, because I always just keep using this big crazy word, the C major triad shape. But separate lesson there, but hopefully you know by now, you've been watching my channel, that these pentatonic boxes or shapes or the Aeolian scale, the Dorian scale, and the Phrygian scale all work either as their counterpart, minor or major. Aeolian having the 6 or the 1, Dorian having the 2 or the 4, and fittingly, Phrygian shape having the 3 available or the 5 as root notes and a tonic sound. Awesome. Found my words. So, okay, so here we are on the GB string pair, but I'm not going to do that string pair because it's kind of confusing here, so I just like to skip that, and we'll all tend to go down to the B and E string pair. But there's an easier way to get there from where we are, even though it's really not hard for me because I know the whole all the shapes. Okay, so, but being that we've gone down, taking this, let's call that shape 2 for 1, 2, 3, and 4, and taking that into the, or knowing that we have that Aeolian shape right there, that tells me, that informs me that from right here, then, since I'm playing this, then now I have this. And from within that shape, I have this. And from within that shape, I have this, crossing the Phrygian and Dorian shapes. Now I'm going to be back down to here. Whoops. So we went back to my octave. Yellow, or on this page, blue and purple Aeolian shape. Okay, so that being said, helpful if I remember to get the fretboard in the screen when I'm playing, or just keep this crazy screen off the entire time. Let's lower this down a bit because you don't need my silly face on the screen. So we're down on the B and E, the high string pair. But this was back to when we kind of discussed this, so maybe I'll gloss over these pretty quick. So here we are, then we could take that down to the A and D string pair with my square here. So in theory, and I'm sure I played that, and then I went to let me get some other sheets showing here. All right, went to there, I went up there, then up there. Well, I didn't go forward when I was playing this. I could be up there. Where am I when I'm up there? I can rip into the Aeolian scale. I can back it off. I can straddle both the Dorian shape and the Phrygian shape. Dorian, Phrygian, in between, Aeolian. And on from there. So yeah, you wonder when your favorite guitarist is whipping all down the frets. Well, you can use shapes like this to do that. Showing you the connections here. I'll leave this page up for a second, and we've already talked about this. This shape is connected to the X, and the X are the same note there. We just talked about that, so I'm repeating myself. The O and the O are this side. I guess I got ahead of myself on one of the earlier screens. So moving on from there. Now we've covered all that, so I've grayed everything out. Well, actually, in this instance, I'm showing that how I would link up to the E and A string. So now that we've got we've gone down from here. Now that I've got a half step there in the yellow Aeolian box on my A and D string at the 7th fret, starting at the 7th fret, which would be, here starting. Since I've got this half box here, I know that there's a whole box. To play the right notes, and that tells me when I see that box, that is an Aeolian shape there, son. So we got A, B, C, D, E, F, or wherever you are up the fretboard. You don't have to name off all those notes. I just know that because we're in the C major scale. But I would just know that as my 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, actually, because that'll be the same no matter where you use it without having to know the note names. But anyways, I digress. were just at this shape right here. And now I played this shape, shape number 1. It tells me that the Aeolian shape is right. Since I've made it down to that G note, well, I'm in the Aeolian shape. And I can take that up the strings as I've shown you right here with this box, because there's a box. That's the Phrygian shape down here. Or I can take it up at an angle and be an Aeolian. Played a bad note there, but there's a triad that links everything together. What is that? C. Yeah, so you can just see the ways that this understanding will link right through the fretboard. And moving on, I'm going to kind of, there's a link pattern there. You can see how I'm playing this note that I don't have, but here we have shape number 1, and you could be running up an octave of the same shape. There's the number 1 shape, there's the number 1 shape in that octave pattern. Everything at this angle on the guitar is always an octave pattern. Alright, let's move on. Let's move on. And this is the way to get to the top strings very easily. It's through this Dorian shape here. So if I'm playing this shape, we're in shape number, which one is that? That's number 3 here. Well, shape number 2 is connected light blue to dark blue right on top of it. So I'm sure you know that from your Dorian shape. If you don't, well, this is the Dorian shape. Incidentally, and this is part of the lesson I was going to go over today, this is your 4. This represents your 5. F triad, F major triad, G major triad, and then E and D. F, G, D, E. Whoa. Those are the fitting notes to those chords, the triads, the DFA. These are inversions. We'll see if I can guess that really fast. That would be what? G. We need E, G, and B. So we got a G. We got an E. Stands to reason that that's the B. And there's a 12th fret of the B string. That's B. E, G, B. DFA. GBD. And the heebie-jeebies. Oh, FAC, sorry. Okay, so moving on. The heebie-jeebies. Related to the Bee Gees. So what shape should I be in next? That'd be Aeolian. Well, it's the major scale. So Mary Had a Little Lamb's going to come out somewhere when you're noodling around. And that keeps a lot of people sometimes from learning. When you're new, you're like, come on, man, I want to know AC/DC. I want Judas Priest. I want to know Mary Had a Damn Little Lamb. Mary Had a Damn. Sorry. All right, so moving on here and just kind of see the Aeolian shape that we've talked about. Once I was in that yellow shape, I could have gone down the scale. You know why this didn't sound that great? Even though that's a triad, because that was the 3. But we're talking about the 6. I mean, 3. You can have the. You can have a progression doing that. Doesn't sound too bad. Sounds like something that could be made into a rocker. All right, so or at least a ballad, maybe, I don't know, or some kind of song. Now that being said, the same thing here, just noodling around, going down shapes here, running down some shapes that never would come to us. Working on a mystery. I heard that on the radio today, so. Rest in peace, Tom Petty. More shapes. Same stuff I've kind of talked about there. So I believe we're nearing the end of our slides here. And so, yeah, you know, going up here. Whoa, chord. I don't know if it's the chord on this guitar or the jack. But, you know, one kind of thing that irks me about these this really cool gem. This is the Pia guitar, and all the Steve Vai copy guitars, because it's the copy, I built it. And you can tell it's not a factory color, and it's got a Mad Hatter pickguard on it. But anyways, but it's got the cool, I don't know what they call that pattern. There's a name for it on the pickups. Anyways, the way this jack sits, I mean, it's a Pia. It should be on a guitar stand, so that's my bad. But this is almost even in the way on a guitar stand, although a pretty good one. It shouldn't be. But when you put it on the floor, it always crunches the cord up here, so I think I'm killing my nice. That's probably a Whirlwind cord. They're right from the. No, this is it's a cheaper one. What's that brand name you can buy in the red package at all the guitar stores? Haas or Boss or whatever the thing. I think it's a Haas or Hosa, like Rosa Hosa. And I was thinking like Haas the Boss, but it's Rosa Hosa. And a Hosa cable, not a bad cable, you know, but they're pretty. They're, you know, a budget cable. It's sold in all the stores. And I lived for many years up the street from Whirlwind Guitar Cables, who wouldn't hire me when they should have. That would have been a cool job to have. And it's never too late, right? But, so it'd be nice if I had a Whirlwind cable. Probably wouldn't be breaking like this, but it could be the jack. Let me see something here. No, it's not the jack. It's not even the cable, really. Everything's kind of holding on pretty good, but I'm pretty sure it's the cable getting damaged from always getting set down, because they don't have a cable stand where I am right now. I will in a few more weeks. But yeah, so sorry for the divergence there from our lesson. To play the blue shape on your screen, going into the gray right next to it. Shape number 2, shape number 1. And you know, you can slide your index finger up to next shape. So there is a shape if you kind of combine the last two of this shape with the early part of this shape, but it's, to me, it's kind of redundant. It's helpful to have, but I think you'll kind of see that anyways if you practice this. So moving on from there, because we're moving on up to the top, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. God, my mind. I'm sorry. What show was that? Jefferson's? Or was that? Yeah, it was Jefferson's. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, same kind of thing here. Let's move on to the next slide, see if I got anything new. No, just continuing the pattern up the fretboard. Oh, there's our friendly Hosa cable again. Damaged by me, though, not a fault of Hosa's. I've been abusive. Aeolian shape. Let's move out of there. And play Mary Had a Little Lamb on the high strings. So yeah, and you know, neat thing about the key of C on the guitar, really uses the all the frets right to the end there. We're missing those, missing some of the, but you don't really play there too much anyways. I mean, I'm hardly ever like, when I'm hardly never anywhere when the damn cable don't work, but here it's going to stop doing that now. I'm clumsy up there, man. I ain't playing up there. Heck with that. So, oh, yeah, cool. So finally, to wrap this up, wrapping it up. Okay, I'll see myself out. Sorry. Pentatonic shapes. What we've been kind of elucidating the whole time. As you can see here, we have a pentatonic. You want to kind of know this pattern up and down the fretboard, how to link between strings, and where it ends up in the pentatonic boxes. And there's 3 of them. And you can see this one here is where we get the Aeolian shape for. And a real quick thing, this was on my mind today, given my, when I was rolling over my next lesson, so means I'll probably repeat this in the next lesson, but I just think this is really cool. And I've even said this in the last lesson, but there's always someone new tuning in. So here you go. This shape is the, well, shit, this is going to take, excuse my language, sorry, this is going to take a, it leads into a bigger idea and explanation to get anyone who's lost up to speed. So long story short, with pentatonics, if this is your root on this string and you play that chord, it's minor. On this side of a pentatonic shape, it's always major, using the G shape, G chord shape. I don't feel like stretching my fingers out on the whole dang thing here, but here we go. I'd rather just use the next pentatonic up with that bar chord, but that's besides the point. This side major, this side minor. That means that all 3 pentatonic shapes serve this function of, like I said earlier, this one is the 6 chord and the 1 chord, the 6 minor, the 1 major. The next pentatonic shape I'm going to show you is going to have the 2 minor and the 4 major, the minor and major pairs. And then we'll have the 3 and 5. Now, this works there's so much stuff, like information, like contained, like it's just smacking you in the face with all of these shapes. But what I'm trying to say is, our example here is the 6 and 1. How can you know that? Well, you got to practice this stuff, is the best I can say. If you follow my channel, it should start making sense at some point. You know, here's your square. Square is always 7, 1, 3, 4. So this is naturally going to be the 6th note of the scale. These are degrees, scale degrees. But anyways, before I get too caught up in tangents of musical theory explanations, there's a balance scale here. And of pentatonic scale, here is as easy as I can. Pentatonic scale is 5 notes. The diatonic scale, your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that's important to you. Yes, it is. It's 7 notes. So you're only missing 2 notes. So your gut notes fall in between this big shape down here. Let's ignore the rest of this pentatonic shape. Just concentrate on the larger shape down here. That's this shape up here. And you can see that there are 2 gut notes that take this 5-note shell and would turn it into a 7-note scale. So that being said, notice that on the higher string here, this represents the high E string, so you have a higher sound. This represents the B string below it, or, well, we'll call that a below it. It's above it naturally as you sit at your guitar, but lower sonically, a lower note. And basically we have 2 notes in a space where there is an availability of 4 notes. So what's happened here is the on the high string, the high note is pushed to the higher side. Remember, going up the fretboard this way is a higher note, and going down is a lower note, obviously, right? This is the most basic you can get. So on the lower note, the lower string, the note is on the lower side. And on the higher string, the note is on the higher side. We have a balance. This is your middle scale in your in the idea of modes or moods, the 7 moods of the major scale, a scale created off each of the 7 tones, but we're only going to consider 6 of them since one of them is the odd man out. Locrian sounds funky. That leaves us with 3 major, 3 minor to go along with our 3 as a matching pair of major and minor. This balanced scale is the natural major and natural minor, the middle ground scales. We have scales that are 2 scales that are brighter, 1 minor, 1 major that are brighter, and 1 minor and major pair that are darker. So to get the brighter pair, we would take this lower note and slide it up to this note, and you're going to see that coming up in the Dorian, the pentatonic Dorian relationship. If we wanted to go to the darker set of scales, the 3 and the 5, remember Dorian, what I was just talking about, 2 and the 4, this one that we are starting with is the 1 and the 6. The 1 being do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do of the C. And the 6 being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Minor, 1, major. It's a relationship, C, E, G, A, C, E. We're starting from A, C, E, C, C, E, G. You can see the chordal relationship there between these pairs. So anyways, if we were to go to Dorian, which is brighter, we would, and Lydian that are brighter, if we push this up on this side, now we have both notes on the brighter side of the scale. So our balance here is toward the brighter side, and that brings us to Lydian, the more major, the brighter sounding major scale, or Dorian, our brighter sounding minor scale. And then we're going to see that with Phrygian coming up here. So let's kind of check it out here. So here's our pentatonic shape. And with our, well, I'm going to skip the top cut notes. And we're going to add in the ones at the bottom. Also take note, these are the 2 half steps found within the scale. You are adding the half steps. A pentatonic scale has no half steps. Consider half steps like your money notes. These are your emotional milk notes. So when I play, saddest interval. And then the rest is a step. Your sad half steps. The money notes. Moving on down the road. So as you can see here, now we have our, and this also shows you, the octave. You have it, down here where I just played it. The same thing is up here. Not playing the whole thing. Moving on, we have Dorian, which is halfway here. So you don't really consider playing it down there. You're pretty much only going to play this shape. Unless you're in a different key, it moves all over. But here, where we have D for D minor, the 2 chord. Remember C1, D2. And if D is 2, E is 3, and F, the other note of our pentatonic scale, is the 4, the major chord of the scale. 4 is major. F major. D minor. Now we could just make that natural minor and natural major if I went outside the scale and had use my Aeolian shape down there, but I'm going to use what's in the scale here and raise it up. This brings us to the 2 and the 4 chord. Instead, if I put that what's called the raised 6 in there, because normally because I'm thinking, why is that called the raised 6? Because that's a regular 6 because it's 5, 3. Oh, that's why. Yes, because I'm so dumb. Well, because that's the 6. That's the 7. That's the 1. But if we're considering this, if you consider your intervals from your tonal center, which is your root note of the chord you're playing, the 1, that's a 5. And then that becomes the raised 6. Then the 7. Then the 1. That's where that comes from. Anyways. Chord tones, everything all in there. But you can see the gut notes here when we elucidate or purplize these gray notes, make them purple. That's what I would be more user-friendly terminology. We can see that our gray notes are the bottom one here is the same as Aeolian, but the top one has been shifted to the right, higher. So if you're like new to this, you can, and you're like, oh wait, which one is that? You can think, well, our one note moved higher. That is our brighter sound then. This is going to be going to either create Dorian if we're on this root, or Lydian if we're playing a chord from this root. And we have to play the proper chord, and you have to know your scale. A chord scale is what that's called, making the chords out of the simple scale. Not hard to do, but for beginners that don't know what I'm talking about, because I remember a time when I didn't know what the hell any of that meant, and didn't know the important implications to my playing, or what was being lost or not played by not knowing that. But I remember being like, well, what are they, how am I going to learn that? That's so confusing. And when you don't know it, it seems very confusing. And as soon as you can get it, you're going to say to yourself, why didn't anyone explain it to me like that? It's so easy. So you got to watch one of my other lessons about chord scales. to get it, because we can't go over that now. Time for Phrygian here. So here we are up on the 12th fret to do a pentatonic scale. Now remember, these are all movable. These aren't locked in, this theory doesn't lock you in place here. This is all, you can put these anywhere, but we are trying to be in one key here, so these happen to line up in this part of the fretboard. So in this case, our 3 chord and 5 chord are coming out of the C major scale, C, D, E. E is number 3. E, F, G. G is 3, 4, 5. And that's this side of the scale, the major side. In C major, G is a major chord. Major triad, there's a little more to it when you can start hearing about this dominant 7 stuff, but that's beyond the scope of today's lesson. But a lot of you probably know that anyways. You're like, yeah, dude, I know that stuff. And you're just watching this because it's passing your time. But anyways, yeah, that's the major side or the minor side, E minor. You probably heard a lot of progressions, because a lot of progressions are using G major and E minor, because E minor is so common on the guitar for rock, because you get that low note to hit, and just E minor is so popular, but usually E natural minor. But here we are in E Phrygian, so we're taking that high note right here, and we're moving the high note to the darker side, because the bottom note's already on the darker side, so going to the dark side. See, I was careful there, because as I was going down, I went, and I'm like, no, I'm not turning that into C major. So now all these chords, all the chords, was just discussing. This was part of that other lesson I was talking about. Every chord of the scale is found. You can find within these pentatonic shapes as well. You can find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can play a chord tone solo to an entire chord progression in one key using any of these shapes, believe it or not. And so, but anyways, that being said, so here we have the pentatonic with these 2 cut notes. C again, but those darker half-step bends for this darker version of the scale. For Mixolydian here is a little bit more user-friendly than Phrygian here, so let's stick with that. I'm getting way off this lesson because I just wanted to show you this pattern here and not go over all kinds of chord tone stuff here. So here we have everything mixed in here. All the pentatonics, all 3 pentatonics. That was this pentatonic, and this pentatonic all together now here like this on the fretboard. And you can see you have nearly everything filled in except these gut notes here. But you have the gut notes. They do fill in because Dorian and Phrygian overlap here. I guess that would be the important thing to take away from this. And of course to see how these shapes overlap all the pentatonics, so you can kind of get an idea about where you can go, how you can step out of this go up your neck and then just instantly step out in a pentatonic shape anywhere or wherever they exist. That would be, now this shape shows you these squares and the navigation, the general navigation pattern of the fretboard. We have the squares this way and the squares this way. If you're looking closely, you can see this is the E and H string pair. This square's on the D and G, and this square's on the B and E. They're always connected by the corner, except where they cross the G and B string barrier, screws it up. And they're at an angle this way. There's only, it may look like there's a million squares on this because this side is all crunched up, but there's only this row and this row. This row is on your even pair of strings, bottom two, middle two, top two. And this one uses the middle two, or the D and A, G and B, for a broken box, and then an upper one on the E and a lower one way down here on the E. And this helps you out because if you're here, you may not know exactly how to get to here, and there's a little bit of a travel distance right there. But as is above, so is below, as I've said so many times on this lesson, on this channel before. You're probably sick of hearing it if you're a regular here. You have the box shape down here. So if we were here, when you can see that we have our boxes here to elucidate that we are, you can see this shape, you can travel out of this box navigation system this way. You can go, you can find your Aeolian shape. I mean, there's just all, once you understand these 4 boxes, and maybe even if just consider this Aeolian shape 5 boxes, you can get anywhere, anytime on the fretboard in all directions with cool riffs that you can make up yourself, especially if you're a faster player than me. You can do that. I can't play that fast without legato. Forget about picking that fast because I haven't practiced like that. But, and you know what? If you're young and you're getting that, man, rock on it and stay on it, because I've always put it off, and as I've gotten older, especially after a wrist injury where my hand is now healed again, I am much slower than I used to be. I don't worry about it because great guitar players like David Gilmour weren't super, super fast. And you can see they can make a career, probably not anymore, out of playing the tastier notes. You don't have to be fast. But Steve Vai is pretty awesome and kind of copies guitar, so it would be kind of cool to have some picking technique. But not my forte at the moment. I seem to be getting just slower with age. My coordination just seems like it's not as much there. But however, if I practice a lot and I play a fast song and maybe I put on Free Will by Rush and I'm going, then I get a little faster because I've practiced some songs that I know that have a little speed to them. La Villa Strangiato solo, but that's the kind of fast I know. Not anything from say Steve Vai. Like the music, but haven't gotten down to really putting that under my fingers like I have with other classic rock bands, like obviously the easy stuff, Rush and Pink Floyd, of course. But sorry to guys, but well, just for me it's easy, so I don't know about it for you. And not saying, not trying to denounce any. I'm feeling guilty because it feels like I'm, knocking down their talent by saying they're easy. But say like a Kid Charlemagne, fast solo, but once again, not really speed and technical fast or little shape fast. Like, well, there's that one part. Oh, I don't know. I used to know the whole solo, and I still do if I play it. But one thing I was going to say is the peril or the danger maybe to using this pattern thing, whimsical pattern things I'm showing you up and down the fretboard is noodling. Hence why I am mixing in all this kind of chord related stuff, and because that's what I think about now too mostly is what are my chord tones at the moment, and what are the notes that are the stepping stones, chord tones, stepping stones, and supertensions, chromatics, and or lead-in notes per se. That's how I like to organize my thinking to make a tastier solo. This can lead to just noodling if you just think. There is a time in a solo where I will just think about patterns, but not the whole solo. But there's a moment the patterns can actually that noodling can be tension per se. And traveling, especially if you're traveling to a specific chord tone resolution that you know of that's coming up, or getting to the chord tones of the upcoming chord, trying to be on certain beats with your chord tones, then you'll wake all this stuff up and put it where it should be. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Don't just use this as a wonder thing that because now you can get up and down the fretboard, you can improvise. You are improvising all over the neck, but there's still some dynamics that need to be given attention, or you will just be noodling. Those dynamics being one of the chord tones, where the chord tones exist, triads, all that kind of stuff. And this stuff, overlays all the triads. That's for you to practice. So moving on from there, that's our last sheet. I'm going to wrap up the lesson with here because I have certainly rambled on a lot. I know we did way more than 5 minutes per slide here, so I'm sure I'm at an hour and a half, but I don't know. Here, I'll even check right now. Where am I at? What's the damage? And yeah, it's looking pretty bad. An hour and 7 minutes, my average hour. So here we are, a little bit over an hour. Gotta go then. And appreciate you guys for watching. The most important thing you could do is just simply like the video. Level 2, put a comment down below. Say, hey, this was this was that. What is this? What is that? I'll try to answer and come up with some things. And if you're new here, then the actual most important thing you can do is subscribe, because I need that number over 1,000 so I can start doing new things with this channel. Because you need to be over, because right now, see, here's the thing I realized. I think you guys still see commercials during, maybe even interrupting my dang video. But definitely in the beginning. And right now, that's YouTube making all the money off of my content. Come on, man. Let's stop paying YouTube for all this great stuff. And if we go over 1,000 subscribers, so tell your friends, and they pay me for these advertisements, which won't be very much because I just have 1,000 subscribers. But we can only grow from there. And it would be way better than paying them, because I could use the $7.55 to pay for the darn Microsoft payment for having this subscription to this Outlook that they make you pay for. But that would mean that if I was making $7, we're all paying Microsoft, and that kind of sucks too. So I don't know, man. Now I ruined everything. But anyways, you guys know what the hell to do. So hit subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next lesson. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making it this far. If you did, I appreciate you guys very much, especially all my new subscribers. We'll catch you next time. You're awesome. Have a great day. And yeah, we gotta get ready to click that stop recording button. See ya.